Good evening and welcome to McStabber Studios. Tonight's going to be, it's going to explain the special way I do Session Zero. Before we start, I'm just going to give a little time in case some of the other people I know who expressed an interest, in case they're going to come late, just to give them a few minutes. But, you know, it's an interesting way to do it. Let me check here real quick. Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting way to do what we're trying to do. It's for a newer player, this Session Zero method works really well. Veterans may or may not get a lot more out of it. The two vets who play our game really enjoyed it and got a lot out of it. But, you know, everyone's mileage varies. Some people are very good at making fully realized characters, some aren't. So, you know, that's why we're doing this. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Misery. What you doing? We're not quite starting yet. We're just, you know, I'm talking to give time for people to pop in before we go over the Session Zero. I may go over the story of how this happened real fast, how I came up with this method. It's really weird. The first time I ever played Vampire, we'd planned to play Dungeons and Dragons that night. And my buddy came over and he brought over the Vampire the Masquerade first edition book. He's like, hey, let's play this instead. I'm like, cool. You read it yet? He goes, no. I says, who's going to run the game? And he goes, you are. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, give me 30 minutes to read the manual. So I went in 30 minutes, I skimmed through the whole Vampire the Masquerade first edition book to figure out how to run a game. And because I was skimming through the book, I skimmed through the Session Zero section. And I do mean skimmed through the Session Zero section. And I totally misread the way it was done. So this Session Zero method is born directly from me misreading a book. But it turns out it was great. It works very well for the way we're doing it. But it definitely was not the intended way that they put in the book. It just seemed to have worked well for me. And it's worked well for Rilyn, who the first time this is the first RPG she's ever played.
Yep.
And she's only playing it because of LA by Night. So
Yep.
for her to create a fully fleshed out character was a little more difficult because she didn't have a background in tabletop RPGs, just computer games and a little bit of MUDs, but
Yeah.
none of those had the fleshed out background. So, you know, the fleshed out background makes a difference in how it works. So, you know, I hope some people, you know, others will join in and learn about it later on. Hey, if you're here, Misery, that works out, though, because at some points I'm going to ask questions in the chat about, you know, possible things I can ask her character as we're trying to flesh it out. So the very first thing with this method I tell players, and this is a very important part of it, is don't pick your clan beforehand, because you don't know what clan you're going to be. You're allowed to have 3 recommendations. Yeah, there's a quiz. Not really, but I ask each player to come with, you know, 3 ideas of what clan they'd like to be and a general character concept. But other than that, I mean, their clan that embraces them is going to solely be described based on the choices they make during this Session Zero. So if you want to be a Gangrel, for instance, and you decide, and your backstory in this Session Zero is, you know, living at a college and being a bookworm college student, the odds of a Gangrel embracing you are pretty low. So you might want to have a better Session Zero plan than that if you want to be a Gangrel. Yeah, it's kind of choose your own adventure style in a lot of ways. So
Yeah. And this session, we're actually doing it based on the poll that I had on Twitter that the family voted in. The top 3 were Banu Hakim, La Sombra, and Gangrel. So basically, depending on what answers I give to Shanky and what point Shanky decides that my character gets embraced, could determine if I end up in one of those 3.
Yep. And hang on a second. Oh no, my pen is empty. I have to switch pens. My fountain pen. Oh, that's fine. I got backup pens here for a reason. I will use pencil for this. Okay, so we've got the 3 clans: Gangrel, La Sombra, or Banu Hakim. That's the basis of this starting off. From here,
Oh, Gehenna Gaming joined us.
Hey, what's up, Gehenna Gaming? Welcome to the stream. I hope you caught the beginning. If you didn't catch how I come up with this method, listen to it. It's pretty amusing. And then we also want to look at general age, rough age you wanted to be embraced at. Any rough age?
Yeah, I'm thinking she's going to be late 20s. I was kind of eyeing like maybe around 28 or so.
Okay. That's good to know. Now, that's a rough number because based on how we're doing how it plays out, sometimes it's a little more, a little less. I try to keep it in the range they want because nobody wants to play a character older or younger than they originally planned. It's just, that's not fair to the players.
Based on our last session, Zero, it was pretty close. It was like 2 to 3 years within either direction.
In either direction. And that works pretty well. Okay, so let's start off with the basics. What year were you born?
1968.
1968. What month was that?
We're going to say July.
July of 1968. So we're going to start with July of 1968. That's the year it is. Where were you born? What's your name when you were born?
I was born Ziva, Z-I-V-A, Brennan, B-R-E-N-N-A-N.
Okay.
And mother is Esther.
Well, we get to your parents in a
Okay.
second. We're still on you. Where were you born at?
I was actually born...
We don't have to name an exact hospital, but you can give me a city, the city of your birth. You can always flesh out the exact hospital later if you want, or if you have it, go with it.
Tel Aviv.
Oh, Tel Aviv. So that's where you were born. Okay. Interesting. So we're not going to go any further into your parents yet. We always do that later. We're going to skip ahead at this point. The year is now 1973.
Okay.
That puts you at 5 years old. You're 5 years old in 73. So let's go back to your family in 1973.
Okay.
Your parents.
Yes.
What can you tell me about your parents?
Okay, mother is Esther,
Okay.
E-S-T-H-E-R. She works in banking.
Okay. Are you still in Tel Aviv or have you moved?
No, we have immigrated to the U.S.
Ah, you see, that's kind of important.
Yeah, I don't remember it, so it happened when I was very young.
Okay, so you've immigrated to the U.S. at this point. Your mother is in banking. Your father?
Father is a scientist. His name is Daniel.
What's he a scientist of? Anything in particular, or we'll flesh it out later?
We'll flesh that out later.
Okay, that works. And see,
At 5, I don't know what he does for a living.
that's
I just know
probably
he's a
true.
scientist.
And at this point, we could, if she didn't, her parents could have been split up. It's up to her to decide here at this point. They could be together, could be not.
They
The
are
other big
together and
question-
married.
The other big question: do you have any siblings when you're 5 years
At
old?
5, yes. I have a younger brother,
How much younger?
2 years.
Okay,
So he would be 3.
so he would have been born in 1970.
I also have an older brother that you didn't ask me about.
Well, I said any siblings.
Okay. So I have an older brother
Okay,
who is 3 years older than me,
okay,
and his name is Zachary.
okay. What was your other brother's name again? Let me double check I wrote it down right. Or did you give your
I
younger
don't know if
brother's
I
name?
told you.
Okay,
His name is Aaron.
okay. And so he's how many older than you? I'm trying to catch up notes at the same time.
Yep, that's okay. So Aaron is younger.
Right, he's 2 years.
He's
How
2
much older
years
is your
younger.
older brother?
He is 3 years older.
So he would be born in 71. He's 3 years older. So he would have been born in 65.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now we're talking about her when she was 5 years old. And I like to throw in questions, sometimes morality questions, sometimes what would you do. 5 years old, there's limited questions you can ask, but I have a favorite I love to use at the 5-year-old point. And the question would be, you're 5. You have a friend you think is a good friend. Kindergarten at 5 in the states, most states, not all of them. You have someone you thought was a friend, and she's having a birthday party, and you didn't get invited. How do you feel about that particular situation?
Heartbroken.
Heartbroken? And the point of these kind of questions is to establish a motivation in the character, how they react to certain situations, even at a young age, because I found that it builds up to allow them to understand how their character would react as a kindred. So in this case, she's heartbroken she wasn't invited.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever bring it up with her?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. And how did that go? Any idea? Do you even remember?
I don't remember.
Did you remain friends through the years after that, or we want to wait till we get a little older and see?
We did actually reconcile.
Okay. So at this point, we're going to jump ahead again. And this is the pattern we're going to follow this whole Session Zero method is. We will talk briefly at a certain point in time, and then we'll jump ahead. It can be 2 years, it could be 5 years, it can be 1 year. It all depends on how much details you're wanting to flesh out at a given age. Now, granted, at a young age, a lot of the details aren't as necessary. It's when they get older that you really want to jump it, only 2 or 3 years at a time. So since we just did this when you were 5, we're going to jump ahead. Now, also, when we're doing this, normally it's a 4-player session. I do the Session Zero with everyone present, and we're all going through the years as a whole. So if there was a second player at the session, they would also answer the 1973. How old were they in 73 if they were born yet? What's going on in their family? And then I'd get them with a question. And that way we're fleshing out relative timelines to each other. Mm-hmm. And as it gets closer to the end, when people are going to be embraced, we can generally start to steer people towards the same locations. And it works fairly well for this. And it really helps to build some of that coterie bond early rather than later on in the game. So yes, we're going to jump now. We were at 73. Let's jump to when you were 9. So we're going to jump ahead 4 more years. We're going to call it 1977. Okay?
Okay.
So you are now 9 years old.
Okay.
It puts your younger brother at 7.
Mm-hmm.
And your older brother is at 12. Right? Let's start with them. Kindred Vindrum. If we're going to go to your younger brother and older brother, let's start with your younger brother. He is now 7 and you are 9. Mm-hmm. What's your relationship like with your younger brother?
Close.
Close?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Only 2 years different. That's interesting.
Being that my parents both work, sometimes I kind of have to step in a bit with the younger brother.
Okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. What about with your older brother who's 12?
He's very protective of me.
Okay, so you've got a protective older brother. That's good to know too. And part of the reason we're going through this way is we can use some of these for touchstones later if we want, but we don't have to. We're fleshing out what could be. Even the little friend that she had at 5 that didn't invite her to a party, we could later elaborate a little more and make it a touchstone. And we've already got a basis into the backstory. We can use that. Or as a storyteller, I can drag that character up even at any point in the story, provided, they're not 100 years old at this point. And we've got a hook that the player is already ready to be involved in. Your parents. So I assume since they both work, they're still together, right?
Yes, they're still together.
Okay, so at 9 years, they're still together. You're in school at 9, so what do you think of school?
Love it.
Okay, you're studious type, huh?
I am a studious type.
Well, what's your best subject?
Science.
Best subject is science.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know. So you love school, you're into science. You got any close friends at 9, or just a bunch of friends?
Actually, the girl that we had the falling out with, she and I are best friends.
Okay, so that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. I don't have a whole lot of friends because I'm kind of shy.
Do we have a name we want to use for her, or are we just going to wait? If we need a name, we'll get it later.
We'll use Stephanie.
Stephanie? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if anyone in the chat has an idea of a question we can ask of something that might have happened when she was 9 to get a reaction, go ahead, throw it in the chat. And
should be good.
We could see how she reacts to that, like I had done with the birthday party she wasn't invited to. The idea is to put her character at 9 years old into believable situations so we can see her emotional, physical, and how her character would respond to these kind of things.
Like dilemmas and things like that.
Things like that. We've used bike stolen at 9. That was used pretty young. Bullies. We've used birthday parties. Best friends talking smack. We've used a number of those in these kind of Session Zero methods. And normally, because we have 4 people at the table, anyone at the table can propose a question to ask. Okay, that's a good one.
Oh my God.
If your father hit your mother, maybe they had an argument. Because this may not continue in the later points. It may have just been a one-time thing, right? Mm-hmm. And how would you react? How did it make you feel? No, that's a good question, Kindred. I mean, if she doesn't want to make it part of her firm backstory, her father beat her mother, then it only happened once. And it never. Her mother may have responded in a way that made sure it never happened a second time.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
yeah, I believe her mother would have done that.
Okay, perfect question.
Yeah,
She comes from a very strong woman.
As far as me as Ziva, she would have been shocked. Because it would have seemingly come out of nowhere. Her parents had never done that before. She would have been angry at her father.
Okay.
Because she wasn't brought up in that kind of environment, and that wasn't what happened in their household.
Right, that wasn't what they're used to.
Yeah,
and
she doesn't really appreciate the chaos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. You know, and that's right. Either way, it helps shape the character, and that's the whole point of this Session Zero method. Is rather than the person shows up to the game with a character made and their backstory they've come up with, or they come with an idea, and then everyone sets and creates the characters. This way, we're shaping the character before she's even had a character sheet in her hands. She doesn't have a character sheet.
That was a great question, Kindred.
Yeah,
that was
a good
great.
one. And that's why this method works so well, is these kinds of questions. So now we've established what happened at 9. There's you go. The social click your older brother part of. We're going to use that one next. I like that one.
I like
but
that
we're not
one.
going to use it at 9. What we'll do is we'll
do
move
that in
ahead.
the teens.
Yeah, we're going to move ahead to
Maybe 3-4 years.
4 years. We'll move to 81.
Okay, so I'm
That puts
13.
you at 13. You're a teenager. Your younger brother would be going off my list here.
Yeah, that's a good teen one.
Yep.
I like that. Okay.
Because your younger brother's 2 years younger, so your younger brother is 11.
Mm-hmm.
But your older brother
Zachary's
16. 16. And that's a great one for social click.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go straight to that question first. So how does that work?
Okay, so rephrase it.
So you're 13.
Okay.
Your younger brother's 11. Older brother's 16. Your older what social clique is your older brother part of, and does it have any impact on you? You in the same clique? So is your older brother? Let's get a little description on him. Is he the student type, or is he more of the athletic or the bookworm, or what exactly is your older brother into?
He is more of the athletic type.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, he's kind of hanging out with the jocks and dating cheerleaders and things like that.
Okay, so that's pretty rough when you are the one who loves school, because I happen to know what it was like in the 80s.
Being the nerd in a family?
I happen to know what it was like growing up in the 80s. And in the 80s, the ones who were good at school and studied the books were not normally the ones that the athletes were hanging out with.
No.
I understand this concept.
Yeah, his friends didn't really want me around.
Okay. So how did you take that?
I was okay with it because they were all airheads.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. So we're already establishing a pattern, even at a young age, of while you were good at the books and you studied the books, you didn't have time for the meatheads.
I didn't.
Physical strength was not the qualifier for you. You didn't give a shit.
I appreciated intelligence.
Okay. Well, see, this is why this method works. We're establishing her character's motives before she's even made a character. So you are 13. What hobbies do you have? Let's establish some hobbies at 13, because by 13 you'd have a hobby or two.
Yeah. I would say, honestly, she was really into reading, especially scientific books. She actually was starting to read scientific journals at that time. She also was trying to do experiments at home.
Now, remember what I said at the beginning for all those tuning in. The way the Session Zero works is she doesn't pick her clan at the start. She just comes in with 3 options, and if her life choices don't match up with the clan that would embrace her, she's not going to get embraced by that clan. So you see, she's already steering the kind of clan she wants to be embraced by right here in her backstory. Gangrel was one of the top 3 on the poll.
And she's not going to be a
right
Gangrel.
now, the path she's taking is not a path that a Gangrel would ever embrace. There are rare outliers, and if somebody really wants to be that oddity that gets embraced way outside of the clan norms, we can discuss that and we can work that if it's really what they want. But it's still, Kindred generally that's the whole point of the kindred, is they're fixed in their ways. So they generally embrace certain individuals. So she likes books, experiments. What kind of experiments do you do?
At this point, with the limited resources she would have at home, because I mean, we're in the 80s, they were just starting to really sell those at-home science kits and stuff.
Those they don't sell anymore because they were dangerous.
They were dangerous.
I had one and I did some bad things.
So she's probably doing like chemistry experiments. She's also likely she has a microscope, so she's investigating things with her microscope.
Okay, that's pretty interesting.
Doing that kind of stuff.
Parents, how are they doing? Still both working? Both same jobs?
Still both working, same jobs. They've been promoted.
You said your mom was in banking.
Yeah.
What is she doing now in banking?
She's now an executive.
Okay.
Yeah, she's now an executive. Like a VP kind of thing. Yeah. Dad is a head of a research department.
For what?
NIH.
Interesting.
Because we are living in the DC burbs.
Yep, I know a lot about NIH. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I can see some potential later on for that one. Not quite yet, but we'll have to come back to that one.
Okay.
Yeah, NIH. That's the National Institute of Health.
Mm-hmm.
It's a government agency where they do a lot of research. I've actually got a buddy who works there. And also, I know what she's leaning with that one. There's also several kindred in DC. Mm-hmm. Dr. Stephen Norton is a Malkavian, but he actually is a doctor that works at NIH. And one of his friends is Stephen Granger, who works in Bethesda Institute of Mental Health, but they're both in that same general area. So she, knowing the DC meta, she is weaving that into her backstory a bit, which really would help. Which helps if we're doing a DC Chronicle, because she's weaving the backstory into her character, so that she's already got a tie to the DC meta as a whole, which is a great way to do it. Not everybody will be able to do that, and if they don't, that's fine. The storyteller can weave little bits and pieces in themselves. I don't have to in this case because she's beat me to it.
And honestly, even if I did not know that meta, like when I first did my first session 0 where I created Lily, I really didn't know a lot of the meta, and I just happened to be familiar with the area because we live in the DC suburbs. So I basically made sure that I mentioned that Lily, being that she was originally from the DC suburbs before she went out west to San Francisco and LA, that she had these experiences or ties to certain places within the DC metro. And it just basically allowed little things that the storyteller could grab onto later if he needed to. And I find that it makes a richer story that way.
So we've covered she's 13. We found out her brother's clique and what her interests were. Her younger brother. What is your younger brother into, though? Because we didn't really ask what he's doing at 11 years old.
He's kind of just an average kid.
Okay, so he's not really excelling.
He may have potential later, but he's still kind of young.
We got somebody with a question for the younger brother. What do we want to know about the younger brother? What's a good thing to ask about the younger brother here? And we'll put that in.
Okay, yeah, Axeface, tell us what you think we should ask the younger brother.
Yep. And then we'll work with that one, because that's the whole point of this.
Yeah, this is great.
Okay, here we go. It gets in with the wrong crowd. Oh yeah. You're muted. There you go.
That's good. That's good.
Oh yes, that's a good.
Ooh, gosh, he's 11. Young to be touching drugs. Well, maybe not around DC.
I was about to say, I was not 11, but I wasn't much. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of like the good crowd. Yeah. Well. Yeah. So if we're gonna do this, he's hanging out with the wrong crowds into drugs. Let's see, AC/DC. This would be 81.
Yeah.
So he's gone over and hung out with some people over in Hyattsville.
Kiss.
Kiss. So he's hanging around with some guys. We're going to call them Dan Craddy and Tim Colburn.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You know the reference.
Yes.
And got into trouble. So, yeah, that's a great one. How does that taken by
me
your parents?
Or parents?
Your parents?
Okay.
Yeah, both.
Parents are pissed.
Well, yeah, is he punished? What's he punished for that?
He is like seriously grounded.
Oh, grounded,
like legit.
Okay,
I have to walk him to school and home. He's basically not left unsupervised.
Oh, okay. Interesting. How do you feel about it? You mad because you having to be the escort for that?
Actually, I'm disappointed in him.
You don't care that you're having to
Oh,
escort him?
it's an annoyance, but I'm
Because you guys were kind of close.
I know, and I'm disappointed in him.
Do you know he was slipping in with the wrong crowd?
I had no clue because I was a little self-absorbed.
Okay. That works. Now, she'll get to decide if her brother stays in the wrong crowd when
Yeah.
he gets older, but it's always good for now because even if she doesn't stay in the wrong crowd, it's a great question for now because we've established how she reacts to disappointment.
That was a great one, Axface.
Yeah. Or wait a minute. There you go. That's a good question. Disappointed or secretly interested in that crowd?
Ooh.
See?
Ooh.
See, this is why I love this session 0 because other people get to throw comments. Normally the other players.
I think that she might be a little jealous that both her brothers are able to really have like social ties like that.
And she doesn't?
And she doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of the
I can see it.
oddball. Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead from here then. So this was 1981, and you were 13. So let's move ahead a little bit. We're getting older, so we're not going to move as far. We're going to go to 1983 for now, because the teenage years are a pretty
They are
major
tumultuous.
part of what goes on in your formation. And we may speed up later on, but the teenage years is where a lot of who you become got formed, which explains a lot in my case. So your younger brother's 13, your older brother would be 18.
Mm-hmm.
So, how's your older brother and yours relationship still? Is that because 18, he's
still really protective of me.
at 18, he's got a job. What does he do? Or has he not got a job and he's focusing more on trying to get a scholarship?
Actually,
the athletic side?
he got a scholarship.
So he's not graduated yet, but got a scholarship.
He's
lined
got
up,
a scholarship lined up. Yep.
To do what?
He actually is going into business management.
So he didn't get a sports one. He actually.
He got the scholarship for sports, but his degree is going to be in business
Well,
management.
what sport does he play?
He plays football.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's a football player. Okay, that's good to know. What about your younger brother? Is he still in with the bad crowd? He's 13 now, Let's find out what's going on with him.
Oh, I like the drama of having him be in that crowd. Yeah, let's say he is.
Okay, we're going to keep him in with the bad crowd. Are you still having to be his handler? Or is your parents just giving up on you handling it?
They're talking military school at this point.
Oh, that's wrong. That's messed up. I like it.
They're talking military school.
Because based on the age and when
he is the baby, he is the brat, and he was spoiled rotten, and now it's coming back tenfold.
And the nice thing is with the age he is in the year, since you're not an exceptionally old kindred, we're going to be in a position to use him either as a touchstone or for further drama once we get out of this area.
He's a
and that's
freaking
great.
problem child.
But you're 15.
Yeah.
Your hobby still just science?
I've gotten into other things as well. I dabbled with some music, a little bit.
Anything athletic at all you do? Anything?
Yeah, I did do
martial
some
arts.
Actually, I did do martial arts.
Okay.
Yeah, I did do some martial arts. It started to get really stressful in school, and I found that the martial arts was a good way to relax.
Okay. And Kindred Venture, I know you're loving this, and it's even better when you have a full 4 people at the table. Because
it really is.
I would say the year is 1983, and I'd go to Berlin, and I'd say, okay, if it's 1983, why is my light acting weird? Let me fix that. If it's 1983 and we're doing hers, and then I'd go to the next person, it's 1983, same as her year, and you're so-and-so age, and let's go through yours. And it goes around the table, and you're building off of each other's stories this way, and you end up with a coterie that is, I'm not going to say tightly knit because it's personalities
but
and there's always
cohesive.
drama. But they're cohesive, they understand the motivations of each other, and if there is drama at the table, it's because the players themselves have decided they want to introduce the drama to the game, not because the players don't know enough about the other guy to know that they're starting drama without starting the drama.
And the nice thing about the way he does that, where it's the same year and he just goes around the table, is he basically fleshes out 4 characters in a matter of
a sequence.
In a sequence, and it's all done.
It does take, on average, 4 players to do this as a 4-hour session.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
But that includes character creation portion of it.
Yes.
So that's great, and it works very well for doing it this way. But okay, so we're gonna hit on the 15. You are 15. You do some martial arts as a hobby. That's good to know. Science and music. That's good. Do you have a boyfriend, or are you really romantically inclined to give a shit?
There's a boy I have a crush on,
Okay.
but we are not romantically involved.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely.
Oh shit!
Oh, we got two good ones.
He just
I like
lost
both
his
of those.
scholarship. Oh, that's
She may not want to use that one because she may want to keep him scholarship, but she may like
Well,
that drama. And then he goes into the business side, and he's more business
yeah,
oriented.
but how's he
bitter.
gonna pay for it? I mean, mom's making good money, so
Your
is
dad and your dad's scientist, your mom's an executive. It's
yeah,
up to you on
they
that
could
one.
make some. They could probably pay
So,
it.
but practicing the martial
That was
arts.
good. That was good.
Let's do kindreds first. I like that one. You're practicing martial arts.
and suddenly a teenage girl that doesn't really have the social skills just
Really hard a classmate. So the person, a teenager that doesn't have any social skills, messed up in martial arts and hurt a classmate, somebody in the martial arts class.
Okay.
Would it be you that got hurt? Or would it be someone else? And if it's somebody else, what about that best friend of yours you had? Maybe she got hurt.
Yeah, let's say she got hurt.
Okay, so the best friend that you had when you were younger, she got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, they want you to hurt them. No, we'll work with her friend got, well, I don't know. Would you have hurt somebody?
Ooh. Yeah.
Okay. There we go. We'll stick with that. That works great. So you accidentally hurt your best friend.
Okay.
You got a little bit too
rambunctious,
competitive and rambunctious, a little hyper-focused, and you hurt your friend. So,
okay.
What does that do to your friendship, first of all? I mean, do you really feel bad about it, or is it something you feel, I mean, you were martial arts, you were training, injuries happen?
Injuries happen.
Okay.
I don't really feel bad about it. I mean, I do apologize mainly because I've been taught that that's what you should do when, you accidentally harm someone.
So you apologize because you've been taught you're supposed to, not because you actually feel sorry.
Right.
But because socially you've been
I've
told.
been told
Was it
these
really an
cues.
accident?
No, it was, well, maybe. She might have pissed me off. But, it's...
She claims it's an accident.
I claim it's an accident. And I apologize. But no, I don't really feel remorseful.
Okay. And that's good. So it's good to know that. You might want to note that down. So your character, you're establishing already that sometimes bad things will happen and you may not really feel upset. You may have to do some very harsh things once in a while. And if you do, oh well. It's good to know. I'm going to use the brother one, but not yet. I actually like the brother gets injured, but I'm actually going to push that.
Well, that would be this year.
No, I'm going to push it to he started school on his football scholarship.
Oh,
and then got
shit,
hurt
and then lost
while
the
in
scholarship.
school on his scholarship because
That's good.
I think that one will work better for what we're going on with. So we've established something that happened at this
An
age.
accident.
So, yeah, we'll jump. It's not his first year. We're going to jump to 85, okay?
Okay, 85.
So you are 17, which puts you working. He's 20, so he's
If I'm working.
if you're working. He's in his second year at this point. So it's a good age for, for this to have gone down. So your brother, yeah, we're going to use that question here. He's 20. He's on his second year in college. Gets hurt during the game. This is the 80s, so torn ACL. Because in the 80s, torn ACL was career-ending.
Yeah,
up
they
until,
can't fix that yet.
Recently. Torn ACL, career-ending. I mean, he gets to finish his year even though his full ride's gone, but...
Yeah, so he's still got half his college ahead of him. Okay, so, yeah, Mom and Dad foot the bill.
Mom and Dad,
they step up and pay the rest of the college for
Now,
him.
that goes back to another question. Were they always supportive of him doing football, or were they the type that said, you're going to, I wish you didn't do this, you're going to get hurt? In which case he did get hurt, or were they pretty supportive and...
Well, it's not like they really attended many games because they worked a lot.
Okay, so now that's a good thing to establish.
Yeah, and, but at the same time, they saw it as a way for him to get a good education because he'd get a free ride. And I think they mainly wanted us to pursue excellence in whatever we did. So
you're 17 and this happened to him. How does that impact you? How do you feel about his injury? How does it impact?
Sucks to be him.
Oh, damn. Okay. What humanity are we aiming at for this character?
No, she feels bad for him. Wow. She actually does feel bad for him.
Sucks to be you, buddy. Damn.
It really does suck to be him. But no, it legit. She would have been very worried because even though her younger brother kind of went with bad people, she still loves her family. So yeah, she basically would, when he was in the hospital, she would have been there visiting him. She would have been, supportive of him, and would have been the one to tell him, I'll talk to mom and dad and see if they can help you finish out college.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your younger brother, I love Kindred Ventures, running circles around him. Sucks for you, I can still run. Your younger brother, 15.
Yeah.
He's still in a bad crowd?
Oh no, he's in military school now.
Oh, so he did get sent to military
school. Oh yeah,
school.
because he was not shaping up. Like I said, parents want excellence.
That's good. Really went light? There we go.
Okay.
I normally don't have them on max, and they're apparently flaking tonight. So your younger brother, military school. Do you even really get to talk to him now that he's in that school?
He comes home for holidays.
Comes home for holidays
and summers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Are you working at 17?
At 17.
Yeah, we'll get to that one too in a second. That's a good one to have happen after we've talked to her about this.
I am actually. I stay after school to assist my science teacher.
Okay, so you just hang out after school doing science. You're really bookwormy. Got it.
I am bookwormy. And I basically am helping with cleaning up the lab and putting stuff away and making sure everything is secured, and then I go home.
Okay. Kindred Venture had a good one. How is your brother doing in military school? Is he improving, or is accidents or slipping or disciplinary actions happening a lot?
When he first started, which at this point he would have been put in probably about 14. So he's been in about a year. Probably the first 3 to 6 months he was acting up a bit. And
he got it beat out of him.
He got it beat out of him. Yeah, now he's straightened up.
That sounds familiar, like somebody in this room when they joined the military. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Okay, so you got a boyfriend at 17? Or
yes, I do.
Yeah, is it like a serious thing or not a serious thing?
Pretty serious. Yeah, pretty serious.
Any girlfriends?
Any friends or
no girlfriend?
Girlfriends? No,
she's
not. She's not bisexual.
I mean, this was the '80s. It wasn't looked at the same as now.
No,
but
she's not.
Change.
She's not bisexual.
Okay.
So no, it's just a boyfriend, and they're pretty much, as far as she knows, they are committed.
Okay.
They're not talking marriage or anything, but they think they're in love.
Okay, let's get something
and
about
he's
you.
a giant dork too.
Let's get something about you on this one.
Okay.
One day you're at school.
Mm-hmm.
You're staying after to help the science teacher's not really helping your social.
Oh no, of course not.
Standings any, and group of bullies, a couple boys actually, and one girl, come up on you towards the end of the day, and they start shoving you around, and they start shoving you around, and telling you, what you doing, bookworm. Why are you wasting your time doing this? You're never going to be anything anyway. How do you handle that?
I use my martial arts training.
Okay, so a fight breaks out.
Oh, yeah.
Very interesting to know. Now, since this is your story and not mine, how did the fight end up?
The fact I fought back took them by surprise.
Okay.
And it ended up that the girl ended up with a black eye running off, and the boys ended up with busted jaws.
Okay. And it's a good one, Kindred Venture again. What's more important to you, the boyfriend or working on your science and experiments?
Ooh. I mean, at this point, she would be like, both. Both is good. But honestly, if we were to really analyze her true passion and motivations, the science stuff would be where her heart really lied.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're going to do a bigger jump. The year is 1989. You are 21, legal drinking age, graduated from high school. You're in
college.
Your younger brother is, of course, now at this point, he would be 19.
Mm-hmm.
And your older brother is 24. Okay, so we've got these worked here. Let's start with you. What are you doing at 21? Are you in college?
I am in college.
Okay, where are you in college at?
Georgetown University, pre-med.
Pre-med. Why did you use pre-med? What is your goal or your thoughts behind
My
that?
goal behind that is to actually get my MD, and I also want to, while I'm pursuing the MD portion, I want to pursue some master's work as well. I want to focus on epidemiology and public health.
Okay, so since we established in the beginning she figured her embrace would be late 20s, around 28. It's very doubtful she's going to make it to be
Full doctor.
a full doctor before she's embraced, but at least we're getting. Are you selling body parts on the side for extra cash? That's funny.
Be
Probably
honest,
not.
no.
Not in not in the 90s or the
She's
80s.
not collecting kidneys in bathtubs or anything.
No. Your younger brother. So we've got a basis. We're going to come back to you some more in a second. What
Okay.
about your younger brother? He's 19. He would be out of military
Yes,
school.
he did graduate with honors.
Okay, so he did
He
finally
really
straighten out.
he straightened up.
Uh-huh.
He needed some hardcore discipline.
What did he do when he got out, though?
He went to college.
College?
Yeah, he's in college. He's going into his second year.
Okay.
Yep.
What's he majoring in?
He is actually made. Let me think.
We can come back to it.
We can come back to it. I can't.
Yeah.
He might be.
We just know he's majoring in something.
He's
If you have
majoring
to
in
flesh it
something.
out after
Yeah,
session 0, it's awesome.
We'll
but
flesh
we
it out
already,
later.
but not in military school. You wouldn't see active service. Military school in this country is
Boarding
basically,
school.
It's boarding school. You get sent away to a school where you get to see your parents twice a year, maybe, and the rest of the time you're living like you're in the military without
It's where
actually
you
being in
send the
military.
rich problem children.
Yeah, and it's it can be brutal at times, and they say it's not, but yes, it is. It's pretty brutal at times. What about your older brother? So let's get him going. He's 24.
Yeah, he's
been
24.
injured, of course.
But he finished
So-
up school. It did delay him by a semester because he had to heal. But he did graduate school with his business management degree. He did well.
Okay.
He is working. He's basically like a supervisor at a, we'll say an engineering firm.
Okay, because at 24, he'd only get.
Yeah, he wouldn't be
He
high
might get a
up.
bachelor's degree. So he had enough time to get a bachelor's degree.
Yeah,
and
he
that's
got
about it.
he's got a bachelor's and he's working, but he's at like a low level management.
Does he like the military? He could possibly have gone to West Point? Maybe that'd be her choice on whether he wanted to be in the military or just if he's going to college. He could
He
also
might
be
have gone to
going.
Annapolis.
He could also just go to college and go into the JRTC program,
Yeah, and still
ROTC
enlist.
later on.
Yeah, ROTC.
ROTC and become an officer where the military pays your college and you get out and you go to the officer.
Yeah, because I don't think he would have necessarily done well enough to get the congressional appointment to go to...
West Point's a bitch.
Yeah, to go to military colleges. I know I tried to get in the Air Force Academy.
Yeah, it's rough. You got to know people.
Yeah, and so basically I don't think he would have had the connections for that. So probably what he would have done is like gone to, I don't know, George Mason or something like that and done ROTC there, just a general liberal arts college.
So how are your parents doing at this point? It's 89. You guys immigrated. At this point, you're about 16 years in country.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more, than that because it was before you were 5. So, I mean,
During
how are
this
they
time,
doing?
we all got our citizenship.
Well, of course.
Not a problem. They are actually doing well. I would say that would put my parents, they're not quite retirement age, but
No.
they're getting close.
They're getting close, but
They're getting
they're
close.
still doing well, and everything's fine.
Yeah, they're
on your-
still doing
on
well.
the family side. Any close friends at 21? Do you have a group you hang out with? Not a group you hang out with? Anything related to that with your character here that would work?
The best friend and I, we're still talking, but we're not as tight because we ended up going to different colleges.
Okay, but is she as academically focused as you were?
Not
or-
quite. She's close, but not quite. I mean, she was kind of a bit of a recluse too, kind of studious, but her interests were just different than mine.
Okay, that's good to know there.
Yeah.
Now we're in the 80s here. It's
Yeah.
good to know on this one. We're gonna come up with this.
We're almost out of the 80s.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. There's an odd guy that your father has brought home at one point. Very odd guy. A doctor he works with. You're not quite sure what's wrong with this individual. He seems normal enough and pleasant on the surface, but by your from watching him, you notice that he tends to be appraising the artwork in the house. I'm checking the silverware to see is it real or not. How do you feel about this odd particular individual? His name was, he introduced himself as Dr. Norton, of course. I'm just curious how you felt about this strange individual.
Oh, I instantly pick up on the fact he's like appraising all our valuables.
He is.
Yeah, and kind of not okay with it.
Okay.
I'm not okay with it. I'm pretty on edge.
This guy is from the DC canon. He's actually one of the DC canon characters, and he works in an age where Father would be. So where I'm building these back threads so that later on, when we go to a full chronicle, if she meets him, she would be able to interact with him, and she would know him from that point. And actually, her character we're making tonight may end up in my DC chronicle as a SPC that gets played or run by me, or even a guest appearance by somebody at some point. We don't know. So
thanks for the follow, Axeface.
these kind of ties, Norton gets around a lot. These kind of ties are great with this Session Zero method. Urian, the guy who just talked, he's one of the players in our DC game. He also went through this Session Zero method, and this was his first time playing Vampire as well. And I think he found it helped him get a handle on his character as well. It really works well. Now you're 21. You're at Georgetown pre-med. How you doing pre-med though?
I'm top of my
top
class.
Of the class.
I am top of my class.
Super focused. That kind of thing.
Laser point focus.
Okay.
I have a plan. I have a goal, and I'm going to
accomplish it. You still with the same boyfriend, or has your school consumed?
School has pretty much consumed my life.
School
I do go
over.
out on the weekends. I don't. Literally,
right, you're not living in there.
Yeah. I'm not literally spending 24/7 nose in the books, but I do go out on weekends. I have some people.
Any particular bar in DC you visit at any point?
Throw some out to me.
Well, no, I've got an idea that I want to use for your reaction.
Yeah, let's say there is one. I don't know the name.
Okay. Let's go for a reaction. And you're 21. You just turned 21.
Yeah.
Yay, you get to drink. Though in DC, the drinking age at the time was actually 18.
And it's July, so it's summer break.
But, so you're 21, you're legal in Maryland and DC now. And your friends are like, a couple of your friends, let's go out and take you out drinking. They don't know where they're going to take you at first, but you end up in Adams Morgan.
Fantastic.
And they take you to a bar that you're not sure you wanted to go in.
It looks like a biker bar?
Yes. They take you to this bar called the Purgatory.
Oh, fantastic.
When you get in, yes, it's a biker bar, sure enough. There are lots of people in leather jackets with spikes and chains, bikes lined up out front. When you walk in, you're given immediately the nasty stare.
My friends did warn me how to dress, so I do have my leather jacket and my boots, but I'm not a biker.
You're wearing, Mommy and Daddy have money leather jacket and boots, not the bikers versions.
I mean, we're not rich, but we're upper middle class.
And this is 89, so knowing the timeline there, this guy that he's got a long beard, he's got it double braided, okay?
Okay.
I mean, literally double braided. Mm-hmm. And he comes over, looks at him. Think you're in the wrong place, miss.
It's my birthday and my friends brought me here.
And he starts laughing. And hey, it's her birthday. Her friends brought her here. And the laughter really circulates around the room a bit. And one of the odd things that strikes you is there is a dartboard in the back with a person's face on it, which strikes you as kind of odd. Is he smiling? He does smile, but he's not showing fangs.
I look at him and say, mind if I try to hit that?
I mean, you can try. I tell you what. If you can beat my friend over there, you'll get to stay. How about that?
You're on.
Okay, and the friend he kind of does his head over to is actually a woman.
Okay.
She's an African-American woman, quite beautiful, stunningly beautiful. Mm-hmm. But she's wearing all tight leathers with a leather jacket. It's not marked anything on it. Mm-hmm. And she comes over and you're going to play darts against her.
Okay.
This particular woman, she does introduce herself as Velvet.
Okay.
For those who played Bloodlines, it's not Velvet Velour, it's a different Velvet.
Rip Velvet, you're now dead.
Yeah, now she is, but back then she wouldn't have been. How does the dart game go? Because it is your story, not mine. Do you?
I win.
You win? You beat her?
I beat her.
Okay, so they allow you to stay the night, but you've been told in no uncertain terms that it's best that your type avoids this place in the future.
Understood.
So do you ever go back to it?
No.
Not as a human.
Not as a human.
Okay. So.
Yeah,
that's
that
good
crowd is not my crowd.
Yeah, and yes, Bruja. That's a.
That was Bjorn and Velvet.
Yeah, they're the local anarchs of DC. The Purgatory is a well-known anarch bar, and the picture in the back is Vitel's picture because they used to throw darts at Vitel's head all the time in the picture. Those are all gone from DC now.
That was their token resistance.
Yeah. So we've gotten 21. Your boyfriend's gone. Are you working or just full-time school?
I am full-time school.
100% school. That's good to know. Mm-hmm. So here's where we're going to go.
I am close to graduating, though, so I am looking into internships.
You are getting close to graduating with a bachelor's.
With a bachelor's and then pursuing my master's, but I am looking for internships.
So we're going to jump ahead to when you're 24. We're going to only move 3 years ahead. And I've got a question in 1992.
Okay.
We're going to talk about possible sires later on now we need to establish a couple things about your sire. Do you have a preference, male or female sire?
I don't have a preference.
You don't? Do you have a preference about whether... well, we can establish your relationship with your sire afterwards, but you don't have a preference, male or female, in your actual sire itself. Okay, so that's good to know where we're going. Yeah, somebody hot under the collar because of bloodlines. Yep. Friends decide to take you on a laughing trip sort of thing. They heard a convention of sorts about the powers of mystical crystals and healing stones, something regarding a cult. There's a good occult question. Would you be interested at all in the occult given your current...
I would be interested in researching it to see if it can be scientifically proven.
And, well, what is your main... The biggest thing you like to focus on with your science?
Yes, now that I have some school under my belt, I actually want to focus on studying bloodborne pathogens.
And I see the way she's steering this already. I can already guess. I know what she's doing here.
I'm wanting to do basically studying for like bloodborne viruses and things like that.
Do you look for just the common ones, or you really
get
your teeth into the more esoteric and odd?
I want the ones that people can't figure out because I want to be the one that figures them out.
So with the occult thing, would you, if something was they were getting you into the cult, would you be more focused on, more likely to be interested if it was occult things that might explain or might occult things that might be explained by pathogens of the blood or some sort of infection? You know, like
possibly
hallucinating and things like that.
Basically, I'd want to see if there was some kind of scientific reasoning for these things happening.
Okay.
And I would, that's how I would handle the occult. It's not that I would just brush it off. It would lead to curiosity and want me to investigate.
Okay. Trying to think of where I want to go on some of this one. That's a good question, though, because now we know
that was good.
How she leans with the occult side.
Yeah, I'm not going to go all woo, but I'm going to look into it and see what I can see.
And at your age you're getting close to your graduation for at least your bachelor's. Actually,
no,
you're very
24.
close.
I've already graduated with the bachelor's. I'm working on my master's and doctorate work.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually doing a joint. What I did is after I finished up at Georgetown, I did. I'm doing there's a program between Georgetown and Hopkins where you can get your MD and your master's at the same time. Okay. So that's what I'm doing.
And you're focusing on a lot of the blood work and the blood pathogens, and that's your main focus. That's good to see. Late one night while working, because you're working late. You are the intern /
I'm the research assistant.
The assistant / low man on the totem pole, low woman on the totem pole. So you are given the shit shifts.
Of course I am.
And one night, a woman comes in. You haven't seen her before. Well, she's familiar, but you can't place where you've seen her. But she is wearing a doctor's uniform, and she does seem to be, here. And she starts asking you questions about, what you're studying. Whether you would believe that there could be cases where something occult-wise could be actually influencing the blood rather than the blood used to explain the occult side of it? Could there be something occult that could change, damage, or modify blood? And while you may not have proof for it, would you look for proof if you thought that might be a case?
Oh, I would absolutely look for proof. Absolutely.
Okay.
Because I would first try to see if science could explain it, but if it can't, I'd want to investigate it further to see what's really going on.
Okay. She nods and makes a note, and she mentions you show promise, and then she leaves. But the odd part is, later on, you have trouble remembering exactly what she looked like. You talked to her, you remember talking to her, but the details of if you went and tried to ask anybody you worked with, who was that asking these questions, you couldn't really accurately describe her. Now, with that in mind, do you tell anyone she was asking questions when you couldn't accurately describe the person?
No, because if I can't describe her, how could I really talk about that?
Okay. So, what about your older brother? How's he doing? He's 27.
Yeah, he's gotten a promotion, so he's doing a bit better. He's married.
Okay.
His wife is expecting their first child.
Yay!
Babies!
Babies! So, how do you get along with his wife?
Oh, she's lovely. He did not marry himself a nice little Jewish girl, though.
Okay.
So that caused that mom.
Well, wait a minute. Are you a practicing Jew, or are you just?
I am a practicing Jew.
Interesting. This is.
I am actually half Jewish. My mother is Jewish. My father was not.
Okay, that's interesting.
But yeah.
Okay, what about your younger brother? How's he done now? Because he is.
He actually is in the military.
He did join up, so he's 22.
Yep, he graduated college and went in as an officer.
As an officer, so at 22, let's see, he'd do his 4 years, which would put him. He's a second lieutenant right now.
He's a second lieutenant.
He's a butter bar.
Yep, he's he's in the Navy.
Still a butter bar. I don't care.
Okay.
If he's got the gold lieutenant bars on his hat, he's a butter bar.
Okay.
That's what you call him, butter bar. Okay.
Snacks.
You do at 24. Do you have any romantic interests at all?
Between my work schedule, I mean, I've dated, but between my work schedule and schooling, it's really hard to maintain that because I work the crap shifts and I'm going to school.
Married to science. That's a good description there. And as you can see, about the way we're doing this session 0, especially if you had a full table of this people, is she's getting a great idea of her character prior to being embraced. She knows her motivation. She knows how she'd react in certain situations. And if a situation comes up she hasn't done in the session 0, she's got a basis to build on. And she can work from there to actually make her character, as fleshed out as humanly possible. It makes, she's going to have a firm knowledge, provided her notes are good. And I'm going to have so many story hooks as storyteller that I can use to weave into the story brothers, her parents, her best friend that she kind of lost touch with a bit.
Before she's embraced, she has a lover. I mean, those are all
that's how you get some new toys to play. That's right. I could tie in her best friend that she kind of lost contact with, or the bullies that she fought with in high school. Boom! Now I have them in the backstory that if I want to pull them out and use them for some storytelling or to add some drama to something, they are there, and they're established canon for her character. And this is why I love this session 0 method, even though it was an accident. I still love this session 0 method. This is running a game for me and family. This helps you. That's why we like this. Does she like Ben's Chili Bowl? That's a great question.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Ben's Chili Bowl is the shit.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That's a chili place in D.C. Only someone who knows D.C. or at least been to D.C. knows about Ben's Chili Bowl. Or somebody who really likes chili knows about Ben's Chili Bowl.
Yes.
So we're jumping to 94.
She's not a vegetarian.
We're jumping to 94. You're 26.
Okay.
What are you doing at 26? You're working on that master's program now, right?
I have actually finished the master's portion, still working on my MD.
Okay.
And I have.
Are you still planning to do just general? You're not planning at this point to be a doctor that does like the hospital.
No.
You're going what?
I'm doing more. I want to do research, but also run a clinic that specializes in treating obscure bloodborne diseases.
Okay.
So that's the dream. Okay. And so basically she's
Kindred Venture, go ahead, steal it. That's why we did it.
oh yeah, absolutely steal this. This is all for benefit of other storytellers. She is working because she has finished her master's. She actually got 2 of them in that time because she's an overachiever.
She's one of those.
Yeah, she
Hard, dedicated.
Hard,
what happens when you come across a problem that, I know you
that I can't beat?
You can't beat them all because that's why you picked this thing, is looking for that challenge. But when you get the bone and you're like, I'm so close to figuring something out, what do you do when you get to that point? Do you run with it? Do you basically go into super drive mode and grind down on it until either you pass out from exhaustion or figure it out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, there have been sleep is for when I'm dead, because there have been times where I have stayed up night after night pumping coffee in me to look into shit, because I get that literally obsessed with something.
Okay, and at some point you met that lady again.
Okay.
But she had a question, a problem for you to look at.
Okay.
It would have to do with the blood type compatibility. Normally, of course, if you have 2 different blood types, it just doesn't work.
Well, yeah.
There's
certain ones that pair up.
Right.
Yeah.
But she was wanting to know whether you would think it would be possible to create something that would allow mixing of bloods that normally
Don't mix.
would mix, or whether you think it'd be possible to find a treatment of some kind if blood would react with extreme toxicity, almost poisonous levels with other blood, like almost immediately, whether it would be possible to do a retrovirus or some sort of way to counteract that, and whether you'd be interested in doing that.
And that is a project?
Yeah, she doesn't offer funding, but just wants to know, picks your brain on the subject.
Okay, so I have that discussion with her. I give her my ideas on it.
Okay. Because it's not something you can solve, of course.
No, but I give her theories
and ideas of ways you would try and those kind of things.
and angles I would go with it.
Okay. So at this point in your background, I can already see. Let's see what everyone's. Do you think she's pushing towards the Banu Hakim Vizier portion of the Banu Hakim? The researchers, the studies, especially her research into blood-borne pathogens.
I don't need sleep. I need answers. Damn right.
Because especially at the year now, we're in 94. Prior to 98, the Banu Hakim, the Assamites at the time, were still under the blood curse that was laid on them by the Tremere. Mm-hmm. And one of the things they did embrace were people who
outside the clan that
were hooked on blood pathogens and studying the blood. And what she's basically done with her Session Zero, because she knew what clan she was going for, she's built her Session Zero around steering her life to that clan, rather than what most people do when you go and create a vampire character, is you pick your clan and then you build your backstory to fit that clan. We're playing that whole session in reverse. Mm-hmm. She builds her backstory, and then the clan is based on that backstory.
That way, if I ever had to slip into my lab coat here and pretend that I am, hang on, let me remember her name, Ziva, I can actually do it and know the character I'm playing.
Right. And that's the thing, is a lot of people, when you do it, you're doing it the other way. You come in, you pick your clan, you make your character, then you build the backstory, or you come in with a general backstory and a clan idea. This way, before clans decide, it is backstory. That's all we're doing, is pure backstory.
Pure backstory.
To go with their clan decisions.
I mean, we're talking years of motivation and emotional responses, and basically it develops a whole complete fleshed out personality.
So we're getting close to when she'd be embraced. Mm-hmm. So if anyone in chat has anything they'd like to throw in, questions about, she's 26, anything about her brothers, we can ask, how's your brother doing in the military? At this point, he would be 24.
He's planning to go career.
He wouldn't be a captain. He would be Air Navy. He wouldn't even be close to a captain. I'm not sure where to put him. I don't remember my Navy ranks. Ensign is starting off. No, midshipman starting off. Mm-hmm. Then ensign. Ensign first class?
Maybe. I don't remember.
It's been
years since I did stuff with that.
Yes. The Assamites were active in the U.S. She could also do Tremere. but that wasn't one of her top 3. And I try to keep them at least in the top 3 you bring up, because
Yep.
if I force someone to play a clan they really didn't want to play,
They're going to play it badly.
they're not going to be happy and they're not going to play. And that's why I say give me 3 that you don't mind playing, and then we'll work from there. They were active in the U.S., not as much, because this was, of course, before the V5 meta in and of itself. But before 98, they were interacting, especially the Viziers. Were searching around because they were trying to find a way to end the blood curse. They've been trying since the Tremere put it on them, trying to find a way. And now that technology had reached where there was serious study of the blood, they were very interested in that. They just wanted to break that blood curse. Now, the funny thing was in 98, it was broken when Shurgoff, I can't pronounce his name, when he woke up, he purged it right before he did a purge of the Assamites themselves and turned them into the Banu Hakim, which was the split off in the schism. But at this point, she would be there before. Pink from VTM Redemption. Yeah, I haven't played VTM Redemption. I had it a long time ago. I never played it.
Yeah, I've never played that one either.
From the point of view of the Banu Hakim, yes, this fits. Now, she could have gone Tremere. If that was one of her top 3, this could easily apply to Tremere.
Easily have been a
because you're
Tremere.
talking blood with a little bit of occult. And it could easily, and a student focused on school.
Extremely
Tremere.
intelligent and focused on research.
But
and,
from her
very much
initial
Tremere.
3 we went with, okay, Gangrel. There's no way that this backstory fits Gangrel. We just, that one's cast out. La Sombra is possible.
Because she strives for excellence.
Because of the strive for excellence. And that's the thing that drives La Sombra, is to be the peak, to be the top of whatever they do, whatever their field is, whatever their focus is, to be the best, to be ambitiously the best. And it could work. And then, of course, Banu Hakim, because of her blood studies. Now, if she didn't go medicine and say she had just been studying law, we could also have gone Banu Hakim because of they did do a lot of lawyers and a lot of those types. But if her studies were world history or a liberal arts degree, well,
Not
the
so
Banu
much.
Hakim probably wouldn't want anything to do with her. I mean... the Jewish connection works too. They generally only they embraced more of Middle Eastern descent than anyone else, but not exclusively. Just like they embraced more males than females, but also not exclusively. As they got more desperate to break the blood curse, they would embrace anyone they thought,
that showed potential.
Could be a Banu Hakim and might be able to break this curse, because they had been trying at that point since just around the Convention of Thorns time, and they hadn't been able to break it. There's no way she could have been Gangrel. I'm sorry. With her background with this Session 0, I don't see how you could have Gangrel as one of her options.
She didn't come across as a survivor type, which is usually what Gangrel like.
Yeah, and she doesn't have any wilderness experience. And while I have explained to people before, not
don't
all
have to
Gangrel
have it,
live in the wilderness. We have a Gangrel that's she's learned
Urban.
the urban wilderness, which is it's still wilderness, it's still survival. It's just not the same as living in the woods. It's a whole nother game with a whole nother set of rules, but it's still a survivor.
But I
And
will say,
Gangrel would embrace that.
Ziva, has addressed 3 freaking kindred already as a kind and survived it.
Yeah, but none of them are the ones that just blatantly murder
No.
kind.
Yeah.
I didn't have you meet some of them like Razor.
No.
Or some of the more
That would have gone badly.
Glenn, or some of the
Ziva
more
would have been dead.
bloodthirsty ones. So if she wanted to be Gangrel, she would have had to take a different life in her Session 0.
Yeah.
And that goes back to that whole
She
point
would have
of,
had to have liked camping a bit.
Yeah, that
Or
goes
she
back
would have
my
had to
point
run the streets. Or
of, rather than having your clan choice drive your Session 0, we're having the Session 0 drive the clan choice. And while I admit it was a mistake the first time I read it and realized and decided this is the way to make the characters, in truth, it works great, because again, your backstory drives who you are, not who you've decided to be drove your backstory. So we'll finish up here. You're 26, right? Actually, we just established 26.
yeah, so we're
The
going to go
next step
96,
is going to be 96, which is the year
28.
you wanted to be embraced.
She graduates with her MD. She is now Dr.
You made 20, and at 28, you were
I
MD.
did.
Wow.
I did.
Now remember, these choices, she's going to have to, when she gets her points to build her character, she's got to put the points when she builds it that at least relates to her Session 0. So right now she has some martial arts, but that doesn't mean she can dump 5 dots into firearms.
Right.
Because she doesn't have any firearms in her backstory.
Right.
She could claim later, okay, well, I had a little bit of firearms training. Okay, 1 dot.
One or 2 dots, tops.
But you won't be able to claim some of these larger things because the Session Zero is what drove this. So we're going into our embrace year. I don't like to go heavy into the actual embrace because I like the player to be the one who really, later on, if they want to share that with the other people at the table, the details of the embrace, or if not, other than in her case, she does know who her sire is going to be. It was the woman that has been over the years watching you, because the Banu Hakim tend to watch the people they embrace for some time before they do it. She was watching you, was checking to see. Do I choose an age for questions deliberately? I just flow with it. Normally, I like the 5-year-old. I like to hit everyone at 5. Period.
And the birthday party question gets asked of everybody.
Yeah, because that's a great one. I like to hit right around 8 or 9. Because
sometimes
then,
10.
Sometimes 10, because then you're at an age where you've started to form who you are. I love to hit 13 because that's the teenage start. 15, 16, 18's a good one. 21's a big one.
Yeah.
When you're getting older, some of our characters were mid-30s by the time they were embraced. And we were still running it at 5-year intervals all the way up to 35. If you missed the question, that's fine. You can always run back and watch the video on demand. That's the beauty of it. But yeah, we jump around in the years, and that's what makes it so nice, is that we're establishing basically time slices of her years in life. And by using those time slices, after her embrace, which would be 98, which we would go into now, we can go into a few questions on the embrace. Were you embraced at the hospital, or were you working? Where were you
I was
working?
not actually working
Where were
in
you
it.
working
I was
at the
actually
time?
working at Hopkins.
Johns Hopkins.
Johns
That's a good place.
Hopkins in Baltimore. Yes. Working there, and at 26, I got my MD from Hopkins.
You're still junior. You're still one of the most junior people there.
I am one of the most junior people there, but I am working on a research basically we're doing a research project, and we are basically doing some studies on a specific bloodborne pathogen to find treatments for it. It's a joint project between Hopkins and NIH, and I actually am going to finally get my name on the byline.
But you didn't.
Damn it.
You were embraced beforehand. It also helps to keep your name off
It does.
off that, because
It does.
when you disappear suddenly.
Yeah, that was
But that'll be another
that
question.
was going to be that I made it, you know.
So that leads to the question: after you embraced, did you just disappear? Did you have a fake death, or would you decide that later on? You'll figure it out after the character creation portion of everything.
I think it would have been a fake death.
A fake death? And see, this is where normally we would go from here. Once everyone was done, we would go to the character creation. We don't do anything post-embrace yet. Okay? Yeah, we're character... No, this is perfect. This is exactly what we're doing. We're not going to do the actual character building. This is the unique Session Zero method I use to get to character building. So now normally we would break out character sheets.
Yep.
And start going, okay, so you know what clan had you. And now look at the books and do the character creation using this backstory to determine what stats, what skills.
Yep.
You know, so we've already
What
established she has
attributes.
more mental stats than physical. But she has some physical, so her social is going to be the one that takes
lacking.
the bigger hit.
Yeah.
And this whole Session Zero is to get to this character creation now. Where she could create her character and look at her old backstory to make sure all the skills she picks and the choices with her character creation works. And it really reduces the problems of, I don't know what to put the points in. Well, let me put this in.
It really does. It helps a lot with that.
No, this isn't the lore stream, Northern Shaman. This is literally showing a unique Session Zero method where instead of you're designing or picking your clan and making your character, then doing Session Zero, we use Session Zero as the life of your character prior to embrace, and then you make your character so that you know what your character was embraced by, and you have a whole back history to build with to make that character. So that if you're new to the game and you've never played Vampire or never played a role play heavy kind of a game, you actually can make your character now knowing your backstory, knowing what your character went through in life. You know about your family, where you were born, brothers and sisters, what happened to them. You know how you react. This whole method is to build up for a new player and even veteran players to be able to build their character and work their character. And it really helps R'lyn her first time playing. When she started playing, the only misstep she had as Lily in the beginning was trying to figure out what to do because she hadn't been in a free form, hadn't played role-playing games, and the only ones she had played were computer ones where you're not thrown free form. You have a quest and things to do. In Vampire, she was just dropped off and, okay, so you're opening up your succubus club. Let's play. What are you doing? And she didn't know how to do that, but at least in anything she did, her character, she knows her motivation. That was
I've come
for
a
her.
long
And
way
this
since
one,
then.
right? And this character, she may see this character in DC. I may use it as an SPC because also from my point of view, I now have an SPC that has a fully fleshed out background. So if I use it as an SPC, I know the character's motivations. So I can use the same session zero method on my own when I want to create fleshed out SPCs. I can do it, I prefer it in a group.
Honestly, I can say as a player, I liked it better with a group. I find now, I don't know about, I can't speak to your players, but I do know that at our table, we really don't meta each other's backstories too much. We really don't. I mean, I know that there is a pattern with Locke that she couch surfes. Right now, she's couch surfing on one of Lily's couches in the club. I mean, it's just, so, I mean, but it's not like we meta background, really.
And that's one of those cases where as storyteller, you have to ask your players, do they want a game that has a whole lot of coterie drama, or do they want the coterie drama to be just more of the organic, basic coterie drama, which by doing this together, any coterie drama that pops up is going to be coterie drama they wanted to start. Now, yes, you have to watch for the metagaming, but like one of the coterie drama things that pops up in our DC game with Lily is two of the players have decided, actually all three of them except for her, have decided to put a bypass into the sound system of the Succubus Club so that at some point they can inject their own audio over the DJ sound system by just using this little cutout. They've got a little hot drop they can hook something into and override the sound system. This is drama that's deliberately being done by the players for the sake of causing drama. And that's perfect. It's not metaing, that's drama to make the story more interesting. But by doing it this way, we have less of the hard feelings, less triggered.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do something to cause drama, then at least the person doing it is deliberately doing it for the story, as opposed to it was accidental and hard feelings. And I really push a game where there's not a lot of. I like coterie drama kept low key. I don't want the coterie drama to ruin the rest of the game for everybody, because I have yet to see a game where heavy coterie drama doesn't at some point cause hard feelings out of the game, and then it's not fun to play anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there have been times where me playing Lily, I've done things that have led to some drama, like made certain comments to other characters, and they have to frenzy check because I just insulted them in public.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was with Urian. Yeah, that happened with Steve Perry. And
yeah, I mean, but we do little things like that to cause coterie drama, but it's never taken personally, and it's never enough that's going to make the coterie try to kill each other.
And as storyteller, if they meta too hard, stomp it down, stomp on that shit. You're the storyteller. Stop the meta. If you have to warn them, look, that's a little too meta. Rethink your actions. Do it. But because the advantages of doing it as a group lets you build some pretty good stories, even with the worry of meta. Like the issues with the touchstones. I mean, if you do the relationship map like the book says, the meta's there anyway. The relationship map is supposed to be done by the coterie, and you fill in the touchstones on the relationship map, and you fill in who their sire was on the relationship map. So if you're using the relationship map, and I really do like using it, the meta's there anyway, so this method isn't going to change that.
No,
the meta's right there looking at him in the face. And while I can't show you now, we will be showing the relationship map for our DC game, and the meta's there if they want it anyway. So it works to make a cohesive thing. Everyone knows the character's general motivations, and it works pretty well to do it this way.
And Northern Shaman, that's awesome. Sounds like your Gangrel is really cool to play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And see, for you, Northern Shaman, if you were doing this and we were doing this method of session 0, you would go into it, and as we're going through the questions, that's what you would guide it to, you know? You would, Shamanistic Warrior, you would build that as your backstory, and then because you know your character and what clan you wanted to be, if you guide it to be Gangrel, then you've got a Gangrel, and now you have a whole backstory for your character before you made your character. You've got a backstory. And we've done the same thing with a general kind of much pared down with our talk about for the B-Day one-shots.
Yep.
It's not as fully fleshed as this.
The backstories on those might have took like a half hour to create.
Yeah, but it's still the same method. You can do it by yourself if you don't have a full group to do session 0. Go through your 5-year-old and ask yourself what might have happened. Go through at 9 and ask your character what happened at 9. Jump through your ages so that you build your backstory. The bigger the backstory and the more fleshed out, the more you know your character. And that's what this session 0, by the book, that's what session 0 is for. And that's the advantage of this session 0 method, is it makes it
very fleshed out.
Very fleshed out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll let Urian, if he's actually talking, other than saying true once in a while, I'll let him comment about, because the only game he played before this was Pathfinder.
Steve, the man of few words.
Yeah, he was a Pathfinder player, Murder Hobo Pathfinder. And to go from Murder Hobo Pathfinder to the vampire table game I'm running is a whole different character build-up compared to what he was used to. He may not actually be at his keyboard because he runs back and forth after work a lot more. But I'm always here for advice, Northern Shaman.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I love to give advice. At some point, I'll probably do another storyteller tips. I don't know what my next one is. If anyone has ideas for what they'd like to see next Friday, fire me a DM on Twitter, and I will give it. I will do it. Matter of fact, here I can show you.
It.
You give the Twitter links.
Yep.
Because I'll give advice. Hit me a DM on Twitter. We can do it I can do it on stream. We can talk about whatever people want to. If you want storytelling, character advice, I like to share. I mean, I admit that I'm consider myself rusty as a storyteller in some ways, because I did take a 21-year break from all RPGs, from 99 until 98 roughly until 2019. I was not playing any RPGs at all, and then I've jumped back in it. But I've still, even with that 21-year break, I've run over 200 sessions of Dungeons & Dragons, Vampire, Gamma World, Shadowrun. Basically, almost every system you can think of in the 80s and 90s, I ran them. And then I've gotten over 200 sessions under my belt as a storyteller, dungeon master, game master. So even taking a break, I'm good at thinking on my feet, and I've got a back history of doing this. And I'm not afraid to watch other streamers. This past week, I was talking with Macabre Derek. He runs he's got a YouTube channel. Follow him if you like a dark vampire game, because he runs a dark vampire game.
It's awesome.
But he's amazing at it. And I was talking to him because even with 200 sessions under my belt, I still can learn things. So ask me questions, ask other storytellers questions. And most of them, if they know what they're doing, will share tricks and tips. Never even heard of Vampire. Surprised you hadn't heard from it, because you're older than I am, buddy. But yeah, if you want to know others to follow that like to hand out advice, Macabre Derek does a storyteller workshops. He does gaming workshops talk about how to craft a chronicle and craft a series of games and character stuff. And his is a great channel. It's a darker game than mine. And that's the beauty of Vampires. You can go as dark as you want, or you can go as not dark as you want, as long as you don't turn it into slapstick comedy. I would have an issue with slapstick vampire comedy.
Yeah, Macabre Derek's is definitely more personal horror.
Yeah, it's very dark.
Where ours is more political intrigue.
Right, and then you get people like Near Dark who do a good game with Near Dark. Theirs is more intercotery focused games. I mean, they a lot of their time is dealing with each other's and how their coterie interacts with DC. And those are all great. Gehenna Gaming is about to be doing some of theirs, because I'm a big fan of Gehenna Gaming, and they also do some storyteller talks.
They do.
And nights where they just talk vampire Q&A. And if you have questions, you ask them. Ask me anytime except our actual play sessions. I will talk, and give tips. Our actual play sessions, though, every other week I can give tips during the sessions.
Yep.
Because of the nature of how we record our actual play. We play every other week, from anywhere from 5 to 7 hours every other week.
Yep.
And I record it and break it in half.
In 2 sessions.
So that we can stream every week. So the one tomorrow is the second half of last week's session, so that we can do it every week, but still meet every other week. So next week we will be tomorrow we will be in chat.
At
and if
2
you have
p.m.
storyteller
Eastern.
questions and you'd like at 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll be in chat. So if you have questions about why I did something as a storyteller tomorrow, while you're watching the scene,
Or
ask me.
why Lily decided something.
Right, or why
yeah,
Lily, or why Steve.
We'll be in chat.
If you're looking for an online group, I am adding guest players at some point to our game. Some of them will be just once a guest. Some may be reoccurring guests.
But not really adding to Coterie.
Not to the Coterie,
No,
though.
because
It
we
will
have
only
a good dynamic right now.
It'll only be, when you're doing a stream, you can't take weeks off from the stream.
Where do
as
I
often.
sign up?
The big thing for our game with this is, you can't be a guest unless you will fit in with the players that are
Yes.
playing, because my ultimate loyalty and my ultimate focus has to be my players that, were here since the beginning, the ones that are the reason we're streaming. And secondly, you have to have a good story that fits with the chronicle we're running, because you don't throw people in to throw them in. You have to have a good story. But once I get it locked down to where I can start doing guests, I'm not saying there's a sign-up sheet, but in some ways there's this, hidden roster that I'm tracking of people who have expressed interest, who want to be on the stream, and
who are likely good fits.
and likely good fits. So when it comes to it, I can talk with you when we're at that point and establish whether you would fit with the game. That would require, I know it's self-serving to say you watch the stream a bit
Yeah.
to know what fits in, but that's the only way you're going to know if you fit in with the group, with the way we play.
Yeah.
I do realize that I have a little excessive table talk, especially from me in our sessions. Now that we're streaming, I'm trying to correct that. It's going to take me some time. But
I knew what I was marrying when I married you.
I'm going to fix that part. But any other questions people have? The session 0 method, for anyone coming later that didn't see the beginning, you might want to go back and watch the beginning, because it will give you some amazing ways to create your character. The best way to describe it is, instead of creating a character and then building your backstory builds your character.
And it makes it feel more real,
Yeah.
and it's easier to role play from that perspective.
Oh yeah, because you're already in the headspace the whole time.
It's much easier to basically slide that character on like a second skin. So,
Yeah. Even Yuri in there. He never even heard of vampire. He played Murder Hobo Pathfinder in D&D. So fleshed out characters he didn't do. But now he's got one. And his character has evolved in the sessions we've played so far quite a bit. He knows his motivations, and he's watching his humanity
slip away.
Yeah, bottom out. It's pretty damn funny, actually.
Flow through his fingers like water.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's called a rocket ship to hell is what his humanity's been doing. So yeah, this wasn't a lore thing. This was literally a different way to do session 0.
Yeah.
And if you watch it from the beginning, I explain how it came about, why it works so well. And then we go through the whole session 0 with one person.
Oh, you're quite welcome, Max.
You're welcome, Max Face. I decided to do and share this because I brought it up
on Twitter,
after the 2 veteran vampire players told me that this was great method to do their characters, and they were veterans of not just vampire but of role-playing games, and said they were going to steal this for their next Pathfinder game. And I was like, okay. So they you should tell other people. So I put it on Twitter, and then people said, well, if you get a stream, put it on a stream.
Yep, so here it is.
So here we are.
And thank you everyone that participated in my poll on Twitter.
What generation? I'll let you finish.
Oh yeah, that basically picked the Banu Hakim, and of course, being that I am a Toreador at heart and play Toreador as my favorite clan, I had to go with the Vizier version. Someone who would be so focused on what they considered their specialty is.
Our group is all 13th generation. I started them off at the bottom. They did get the bonus 15 experience that put them so they weren't complete novices. They were just neonates. I did that because with 2 inexperienced players and 2 experienced players, if I put the inexperienced players at a higher generation, it would be overwhelming. So I started them off at the bottom. We are talking when we switch to a Chicago by Night Chronicle, which we will do. When we go to Chicago by Night, they will be starting off at 10th or 11th generation.
Yep.
In that range. And will be established in
We're gonna be
Chicago
badass.
from the beginning, because at that point the players will have experience with the game a lot more and will be able to handle that portion of it. Just had a slapstick rhino rescue episode. Yeah, see? We do stream regarding world building. I'm not the greatest at world building, I'll admit. I'm better at taking pre-published material like the DC by Night from that was first edition and making it my own. I'm very good at updating it to the current meta and making the kind of tweaks that make it hard for my players to meta the old book into my game. It's costly if they do that. But designing one from scratch is not something I'm very good at, and I'll admit that. I could never do a build my own city by night. It's not where my skills lie.
I mean, we're just lucky we live near DC and we're very familiar with common landmarks and entertainment places and things like that.
I could take New Orleans by night because I have that, and I could convert that into 5th edition because I know 5th edition, and if I look at that one, I can adapt it for the meta. But I couldn't design Richmond by night because Richmond, I mean, even if I know a bit of the city, I'm not good at designing the whole thing from the ground up. It's just not where my skills lie. It actually didn't even lie like that in Dungeons and Dragons back when I played it. I was very good at making stories and working in Forgotten Realms or Greyhawk, but I couldn't design the whole world myself. It wasn't where my skills
and
lie.
every storyteller has things that they're better at than other things, you know, and with Shanky, his is really the story and the improv. He really excels at that. The world building, not so much. But luckily with Vampire, I mean, it's set in, you know, for V5, modern. It's modern. So you can, you know, if you know your city or the city that you're going to play in, you can make, you know, certain landmarks Elysium if it's a Camarilla Chronicle, or
and
you
there's
know,
20 some odd years of lore.
Yeah, there's
that
lots
you just have
of lore
to update to V5. I mean, so many people have made so many cities. You just have to V5 meta the shit, and you're good.
Yeah.
And I say it just like that. V5 meta it. You look at the meta, and you go, okay, well, how would it change? And go from there. And that's what I did with ours. This session 0 is the way I did it in first edition.
Chicago by Night, get the book if you don't have it, because the book is chock full. It's over 300 pages of lore and world building, and I mean, it even has a basically a chronicle in it for you to run.
Yeah, a
starter session basically, and it's great.
But yeah, now my skill isn't the world building. My skill is doing what I'm doing, which is adapting the material and making it my own and making it fun for the players. We're gonna sign out here because actually I've got to work at 9.
He's got to work,
and I've also got to eat dinner, so I'm gonna call it into the stream here. I thank everyone for attending. Those that are here, if you like a darker vampire game, go over to Macabre Derek's channel. Give him a follow. If you're interested in some of the darker drawings or even some of the art stuff, he does some great art streams.
He does
some
fantastic
night.
art.
Give Macabre Derek a follow. It's good info. If you don't know how to spell it, just look at who I follow, because I'm following him. Gehenna Gaming, give them a follow. They talk vampire stuff, and they're starting up their own vampire play stream as well. They did a one-on-one recently game, and they're adding more. And of course, Monday nights, Near Dark Studios does a Chicago by Night game that's really fun to watch. They do an actual play that's slightly performance play, which is amazing as well. It's not pure actual play. It's not pure performance. It's a nice hybrid where you can see them in character, dressed as character, with the dim lights and the ambiance set, and not much table talk. And Near Dark runs a good game too. Macabre Derek. Check that one for. I mean, he does a very dark game.
Yeah.
But he loves it. Sunday nights after his games, he'll talk storytelling. And me and him had a talk last week because I was on his channel, and we had traded some good info, and he gave some knowledge. It's real deep as a storyteller to make you think differently.
Yeah.
Because he has a different way to think, and all storytellers have a different way to think, you know?
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we're going to call it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yep, thank
and
you.
hopefully we will see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern for our next episode.
Yep. Strange Bedfellows.
Strange Bedfellows. I came
What?
up with that name.
Yeah. What happens when the kindred make alliances, and how long can they hold up?
It's going to be good stuff. See you guys.
Thank you all for the stream.